basic ethics for the uncompromising fight, resistant to the constant pulls that yank us left and right. He's a man without a party, a guy without a place, a true rebel outsider, never cave into the state. Objective, honest, ethical, the raw truth torches carried on by the last American vagabond. He can't sign off on genocide, he can't consent to force, won't take the state's abuse, wants government divorce. He parses propaganda, breaks the news without the slant. Globalists are seething, but behold the people's chant. Objective, honest, ethical, the raw truth torches carried on by the last American vagabond. The guy's got unyielding principles, hell can't be mad at that. Hope we see him round these parts again, have another higher side chance. Yeah, he parses propaganda, breaks the news without the slant. Globalists are seething, but behold the people's chant. Objective, honest, ethical, the raw truth torches carried on by the last American vagabond.
It starts with a simple question and ends in objective reality. Through our journey from there to here, we find one another and ourselves. And as the next 24 hours breaks free from our last, we gaze onward in reflection of the day.
Come to your own conclusions. Stay vigilant.
Welcome to the Daily Wrap-Up.
Thursday, February 12th, 2026. Thank you for joining me today. For those in the chat, that was Greg from Higher Side Chat. He made that song about the last American vagabond the last time we connected, and I'm looking forward to the next time we connect. I think it's a good guy. But now, of course, limited time today. I'll explain why. Started early because I felt like I wanted to get more time, and then felt guilty because people wouldn't be here for another 2 minutes. So I don't think I've ever actually started the podcast before, even minutes before the time that was set. So even though technically the song didn't take long enough, so we're getting started anyway. So sorry for those who are going to be joining in 2 minutes. I was invited just like so many hours ago to join Ben Swan today, and so ultimately just truncated what I was going to do today. But I wanted to make sure I got something out for you guys. Put out 2 really good articles today, one from Robert, one from Derek. I'll point to in a moment. But today we're really going to focus on the one main topic in the title and a few other things that I want to include, but I'll leave it there just in case we don't get to certain things for time. But it's an interesting connection to the story we've been covering. The melting down of the Trump administration around these files, the kind of, I don't even know what the right word would be, the people out there acting like, it is literally the living embodiment of that meme of the person, of the dog in the burning house going, this is fine, where people are coming out going, Bondi did great today. It's very strange to watch this reaction, but that's one part of this obvious awareness that's changing. But the bigger point around the Epstein conversation is that it's just exposing, hopefully for most people outside of partisanship or anywhere really, that it's exposing some uncomfortable. The entirety of our government feels like it's acting different than usual. At least that's my experience. The way that they're conducting themselves, it speaks to something. And I think what we're going to highlight around Donald Trump, his administration, spying, monitoring congressional activity through the Epstein files, it just adds another layer to what this might be. And I don't think we're talking about good versus bad. I think all of our government entities are in one way or another kind of wrapped up in all of this. But that doesn't mean that they're not at odds about how they want this to end up. And I don't think any of it's in our interest. Call me a pessimist. I think they've shown that to us. But there's a few other things we'll get into that connect to that. I want to start with some points around ICE before we get into everything else that I thought was really, I mean, it follows up on a story we've been covering. Body camera footage has come out about the one that bragged about 7 shots, 5 holes. We told you this when it first happened. The evidence was clear. Just like the rest of these stories, it's self-evident if you look at it. And now the body cameras come out showing that they discussed running into her, then ran into her, then literally told the world that she ran into them, and that's why they had to defend themselves. You know, if this is one group, but we have seen how much this is happening. But just think about it. If they're willing to lie, like that's a group of them in the car discussing this. I'll show you. If they're of the mind that they can just decide to lie, knowing they're being recorded, you have to understand they're being told by somebody in the administration that they can do these things, that they can get away with whatever they want. And that is what we're seeing. That's my opinion. But I don't know how else you rationalize what we're going to show. The decision to break the law and then to blame her, and even knowing that's the way it's setting up, using lethal force or what they thought would amount to that. It's insane. We're going to talk about how incredibly important that is and how that's this enforcement arm around what appears to be shifting in this country. And I want to make sure we start with one point I'll highlight around Whitney Webb. A SAVE Act point I want to make if we get to it in time, and some other Epstein points we'll discuss, and possibly some foreign policy. But before we get into all of that, one quick thing I want to highlight, and Derek brought this to my attention. So he's spoken to Whitney today, actually, and asked about this. It's just the strangest thing to me. I mean, I guess it's not strange. I just think it's odd that it's the way that it was done is clearly meant to represent as if Whitney Webb is involved. So it appears Ian Carroll, or at least him along with whoever else, or maybe he's just promoting it. I haven't gone too deep on it just yet. It was only recently brought to my attention, have started something called a program called Webb with 2 B's. And it's literally an AI that is supposed to be combing through the Epstein files. Now, yes, that can clearly be helpful, but the idea that it's an AI and everything else with this, and then using her name, it just feels weird. And it feels, I don't know. I mean, it's not like unless it's there and I don't see it, I'm not seeing something that's like this is in conjunction with Whitney Webb, but it's a very weird thing to happen. And, you know, I have my skepticism about everybody in that sphere. And so the United States of Zog pointed this out. Nice semantic manipulation by Ian Carroll to call his Epstein AI program Webb with 2 B's when it was Whitney Webb that has the most voluminous, or however you pronounce that correctly, and most thoroughly researched on the Epstein crime syndicate. Just volumes and volumes of her research has been going on a long time. Other fun factoids about this historical negotiationism include the fact that Ian Carroll is a TikTok researcher who dismisses the scope of Whitney Webb's work. Now, I don't know if I agree with that entirely. It is dismissive in some cases, but yet often points to her work. So I think that speaks for itself. Ian Carroll himself, he writes, this is his opinion, is a gatekeeper who has personal connections to people in the Epstein list, 1 to 3 degrees separation. Well, you decide if you think that's relevant. And the most fascinating personally is Epstein's own interest in neural networks AI, and how making an Epstein AI, in a sense, memorializes him in a way and promotes his works. It's a very good point, I think. And simply the idea that it's, I don't know, you guys can take it for what you will. I just wanted it to be on your radar because it feels odd. And I'm hearing from her directly that this is not something she's involved in. And you know, like, I just think that's worth noting. So keep an eye on that. I honestly don't think the AI part of this it feels wrong to me, especially since how do you confirm that that's even giving you the right results? You know, the whole thing is that, like with Grok or anything else, the point should be that you don't rely on that you look, and then if that's something that helps you get a leg up or whatever else that you still secondarily confirm with your own work, then it's up for you to decide if you think that's beneficial. But just like with Grok in this, you're going to get people that only use that and then don't even realize something's being boxed out, or maybe it made a mistake, or however it works out. Don't rely on these things, guys. Now, great article from Derek today. Oh, and just so you guys know, I'm probably looking at maybe 40 minutes. So this is going to be a short show. So just you don't expect it'll feel short for those that are used to the shows that we do. From leaks to files, the undeniable proof, Jeffrey Epstein served Israeli interests, and why the press blames everyone else. Robert did a great job on this, and it really is breaking down the reality of how obvious it is, first of all, which you all know, how clear it is. And he makes the point as well that we showed that this was clear before. But it's not saying that he's a Mossad agent. I argue that's a valid consideration, but simply saying that we can prove, not just with evidence, but prove he worked in the interest of Israel and for Israeli interest, if not for Israel, which is not even that's a accurate way to frame that. Based on what we can prove, from before and now with the files. And then how you get the Loomers of the world that go with the Qataris, the Muslims, the Russians, and all of them with the interest, in my opinion, as he writes in here, to deflect from the most obvious connection. It's obvious. I mean, it is obvious. It's very interesting how this is going down. And it's people are willing to destroy their own, I guess, the whatever crumbling, but I'm not blanking on the word, their credibility that is left, willing to sacrifice that to lie about this when they know their team isn't. It's odd, which shows you that there's a different agenda than their credibility. You probably know what that is. This is from Derek today. Can Maha movement overcome the influence of big wireless? Now, this is an interesting article that really gets into the hypocrisy of Maha, and not people that believed in the objectives that Maha stated, or that still believed to make America healthy again is the right path, but the political thing that called itself Maha from the government that took advantage of those people. That's what I'm talking about, and he's talking about when you make this point. And well, I guess in the title, he's referring to the honest part of it. Will that movement, the people that care about these things, be able to overcome the government side of the manipulation? And if you read into this, it's interesting because the studies and you're getting positive steps. But I get the sense where this will lead, and please read this because I'm not going to do it justice by briefly talking about it, but I will. I might even have Derek on to talk about this for another interview. We'll be doing that soon enough anyway. But that this is more about, in my mind, sort of like we've seen with everything else, creating taking a good step objectively, like saying, well, we're going to reevaluate the dangers, which nobody else has been doing. That's what it's saying. We're going to kind of disregard some of the ones that say it's all safe. We know that's not true. Everyone knows that there's EMF radiation. But so now the Trump administration is saying we're going to put it aside and we're going to reevaluate. Why do you would assume that means that with their dishonest track record just thus far, with RFK and everything else, it's probably going to be reevaluate and then even worse, or at the very least, maintaining the industry narrative that it's all safe for you? I hope not, but history shows that's where will likely be. But as we're at now, they're reevaluating. So my belief is this will be another sort of setup where the reality becomes, where the issues that we describe are then solved by what they want to do anyway. It's a great article. And the worry is that big wireless will, as always, or whatever the entity is that's either being used through government or controlling government, will they be able to overcome that kind of influence on the conversation? 5G, 6G, Trump's very proud about all of that. Personally, I find it highly unlikely. Good article to read. Now, let's get into some ICE conversation. This is the one I was discussing. And here's what's interesting, by the way. I've shown you this directly from his own statements, but the cop obviously could have been lying, like bragging about this, and was even lying about it, which is even more insane. But I showed you myself where he said 7 shots, 5 holes. That was reported broadly by like the Wall Street, plenty of mainstream media, and that he did say that. And that was in a text communication. But of course, how grotesque it is, he might have just been bragging about 2 extra shots and lying about that. My point in saying all that is that ever since then, the reporting has been she was shot 5 times. Now, likely because if she was shot 7 times with 5 holes, it would appear 5 shots. But they all could have looked that up. I find that a weird discrepancy, but maybe it only ended up being 5 and the guy lied about it. But that's important to note, I think. Now, we've talked about this numerous times. The argument goes, check out all my past coverage, check out their own statements, look at what Bondi and Noam and everybody else probably still says, by the way, that they were ran into by this woman and they had to get out and defend themselves. And that's when they shot her. And then made up the story that she had a gun that she was using, and that was actually a lie, and that came out in court. So this is simply just their own camera footage. And if it matters to you that CNN's showing it, therefore you dismiss the footage, then you're a child. I know that's not how our audience works, but I always find that funny. Doubt their intentions, but don't ignore the facts. And that's always how that should work. And here is a report showing you their body camera footage. Now, take with a grain of salt what CNN's reporting. You always should. But what you see on the video and them discussing planning to hit her cannot be disregarded.
Cameras on.
This is newly released body camera video. A team of 3 Border Patrol agents is driving through a Southside Chicago neighborhood. 2 have guns drawn. Marimar Martinez, an American citizen and school teacher, is driving next to them, honking her horn, warning people to the presence of federal immigration enforcement. Another vehicle is behind the agents, also honking the horn.
All right, it's time to get aggressive and get the out, because they're trying to box us in.
It all happens in seconds.
All right, we're following now. All right, out of the car.
Be advised, we've been struck, Get out.
Martinez was shot 5 times and survived. In this surveillance,
does sound like 5 shots right there. So it appears to me, and it was short time today. Had I had more time, I can go back and I'll do it for another show and bring up his own text message in that exchange. So the fact that he lied about more shots just kind of shows you the kind of people we're dealing with.
In this video, you can see the front of the agent's SUV come to a stop. 4 seconds later, Martinez's silver Nissan drives off, she says, fearing for her life. The Department of Homeland Security was quick to accuse her of attacking federal law enforcement, saying Border Patrol agents were, quote, ambushed by domestic terrorists that rammed federal agents with their vehicles. FBI Director Kash Patel posted on social media about the incident, quote, attack our law enforcement and this FBI will find you and bring you to justice. The post also included a link to video of a car ramming, but it had no connection to Martinez's. But it also included a link to video of in the tweet he's sharing, it very clearly says, this is the video where Martinez X, Y, and Z. That's not true. The FBI head shared this, claiming that was her and we're going to go after you. And that wasn't even true. I honestly don't even think they know that or even care, but know that is the most important one. I don't think he was even aware of that. These are the people in charge of the most important positions in like the attorney general looking like a child. This is alarming for so many other reasons than that they're dishonest. But realize that what they're showing you, and it's about to get into what they said in the car, that they had to manufacture all of this, the ramming, the whole damn thing. And on top of that, as has come out since then, there's been clear reports of the fact that they've discussed the way that they basically game this out by standing in front of the cars, by circling them and pushing one into the other and then causing that conflict. They're engineering their responses. That's in no way unique to Trump and ICE. They've just done it to a degree that is, unprecedented in my opinion. Car ramming, but it had no connection to Martinez's case. And the body camera video tells a different story. In the lead up to the collision, you hear agents say they are going to collide with Martinez.
We're going to make contact and we're boxed in.
And just before the moment of impact, it's Agent Charles Exum who sharply turns his steering wheel in the direction of Martinez.
Now, if you're going to play the whole mission creep game, and you can say, well, they were boxing them in. Okay, fair enough. If that's actually what happened. And the videos we see show that that's not really what was going on. But irrelevant for the conversational point. Let's say hypothetically that your point is, well, they're boxing in. That's illegal. Okay, then why'd they lie about it? Right? Why did they then say they rammed into us and we had to defend ourselves when that's not what happened? Because this is what keeps going on with the partisan players. It means the mission creep is to jump to the next point. Well, she shouldn't have been fleeing about Renee Good. Well, but you told us that she was trying to hit him. If that's the case, then let's first establish that you were wrong about that. Then let's go on to the way that new point changes everything. And that's just not what's happening. They chose to run into her and then lied about it and then tried to kill her. Luckily, she didn't die. Proof, according to her attorney, that they hit her vehicle, not the other way around. By the way, you can see it on video, for crying out loud. There's tons of things. We went over this in depth. And as for the claim of being boxed in, this surveillance video calls that comment into question, with nothing in the path ahead of the border agent's vehicle. Exactly. The court also released text messages and emails from after the shooting, including one message from Border Patrol Commander Gregory Bovino, just hours after the incident, offering to delay the retirement of Agent Exum, who shot Martinez. In light of your excellent service in Chicago, you have much left to do. And then a text message exchange between Agent Exum and someone whose name was redacted. Are they supportive? Someone asked. Big time. Everyone has been, including Chief Bovino, Chief Banks, Secretary Noem, and El Jefe himself. That's Trump. And the point is that they are being told you can get away. Now, who knows how they're saying it, but they're saying no matter what happens, we'll defend you. And then after what they keep seeing, after we keep seeing people get shot and killed and in detention, and they just keep backing them. And that only bolsters their belief that they can get away with whatever they do. And Bovino clearly was of that mind. They just shuffled him off the stage because he was being caught. In various texts to and from fellow agents, the mood was celebratory. Good job, brother. You are a legend among agents. You better effing know that. And remember, this guy was like some kind of marksman, and that's why he was bragging about that. Or at least he claimed to be. Here's on me when I see you at training. That's awesome. You did real good. Wow. Damn it, man. Good shooting. The day after the shooting... Isn't it weird? I don't know why they wouldn't go in... Martinez was indicted. According to the complaint, she, quote,
forcibly assaulted, resisted, opposed, impeded, intimidated, and interfered with an officer of the United States.
How much you want to bet if you take that exact line, you'll probably find it repeated in almost every one of their documents, because that's just what they know to say, even though none of that was true.
After her attorney viewed the body camera footage and other evidence emerged that
which they have been dragging their feet, desperately trying to keep from your view. So think of Tulsi Gabbard and that complaint and everything else they're trying to keep from view. Epstein files. That's who we're dealing with.
undermined the government's version of events, prosecutors made an extraordinary move and asked the judge to drop their own case.
See how this works? Because they knew it was becoming exposed. If you're telling me that this woman attacked police officers, you're going to actually want us to believe that this administration would just drop the case? You're trying to put a guy who threw a sandwich at a guy in prison for 30 years, and you're going, oh, well, it's the same thing we keep seeing. Like when they left that guy in the house, they said, oh, sanctuary city. You told us he attacked the cop, but you're just going to give up because he's in his home? There's no sanctuary city law about you arresting somebody at their own home. It's crazy that they're lying so obviously, and everyone just keeps marching forward.
The judge agreed, but not long after, she told me the shooting still haunts her.
I don't want to remember that day. You're laying there at night, and you're just thinking about it, like, what's going to happen? Like, it's really emotional to me.
5 times. I'm going to go over this again. I just think that's weird. Why would they choose to ignore that part? I guess it's not important really to the larger story. Anyway, another day with more time. So here we are, clearly lying, and nothing will happen, guys. And on top of that, they're not even identifying who they were. They've been caught breaking the law, not only trying to kill a U.S. citizen, but being caught in the crime of trying to cover it up, lying about what they did, lying to courts. Nobody's doing anything. Here's another example, which I'm going to go into another show. Status Quo's covering this. Basically the same situation. Being asked if you have your ID, they're going, hey, what did you hit us for? Like asking, they're engaging with this as if it was it's a traffic thing. You rammed our car. We want your insurance. And basically ICE dealing with them as if they're criminals. We've seen ICE stealing cars or being caught with the vehicles of people they've deported, or just insane levels of criminality. These are organized crime situations, guys. Now, here is a report, something that Jason Basto's been covering more before anybody, it seems, the extensive reality of them building this ecosystem of FEMA, or rather just camps that we used to discuss under the conversation of FEMA, and the people that used to be screaming about that every day seem to be not caring about it right now. Well, here's the Tennessee Holler showing a report from Wired about what they're doing. Federal records showing them secretly expanding 150 plus facilities across almost every single state in the country. I don't care what political stance you are. This should be terrifying. This is insane. This goes so far beyond what even they claim they're trying to do. This is something. Do you think these buildings, this ecosystem is going to vanish? This is the future enforcement of this state, the United States, whatever you want to call it in the new globalist picture that Trump is building.
DHS have carried out a secret campaign to expand their physical presence across the U.S., federal records obtained by Wired show. The documents reveal more than 150 leases and office expansions, placing facilities in nearly every state, many of them in or just outside of the country's largest metropolitan areas. In many cases, these facilities, which are to be used by street-level agents and ICE attorneys, are located near elementary schools, medical offices, places of worship, and other sensitive locations. In El Paso, Texas, for example, the agency is moving into a large campus of buildings right off of Interstate 10 near multiple local health providers and other businesses.
Interesting how we just started talking about El Paso, Fort Bliss, and all of that. There's overlap.
In Philadelphia, ICE plans to share office space with one of the city's central DMV locations. In a wealthy community near Houston, ICE appears poised to move into an office building blocks away from a preschool. Why this rapid expansion? Since President Donald Trump took office in 2025, ICE has more than doubled in size. DHS claims the agency.
And don't forget, they now have funding more than many countries in the world.
Agency now has 22,000 officers and agents across the country, and they need office space. The General Services Administration, which manages federal buildings and functions as the government's internal IT department, is playing a critical role in this aggressive expansion. In numerous emails and memorandums viewed by Wired, DHS asked the General Services Administration explicitly to disregard usual government lease procurement procedures and even hide lease listings due to national security concerns. Altogether, the
security. Okay, look, you have to understand what this means. If their argument is you have, radical leftist out there trying to expose what you're doing. That's not a national security threat. So they're always, that may well be just what they use because that's what they know they can get away with. What are you going to do? Top secret, top classified, shut up. But realize that we're talking about the foreign overlap, the element that's, you're literally making it about national security for why people, every single part of this, what we know about it. I just can't stop seeing this obvious slippery slope where we are just being, kind of shouted down by the minority about what this is. And we are going to wake up in the midst of whatever this is they're building. If it matters to you, when the next Democrat administration's in power and they turn it right back on you, or, the reality of the picture that it's aimed at everybody, this is an alarming step.
The General Services Administration explicitly to disregard usual government lease procurement procedures and even hide lease listings.
They don't want you to know they're there. Don't we have a right to know what they're doing? Like, at what point, when the government is hiding its own actions from the American people, whatever the narrative is or the guise of why they're doing it? This is the despotic country beginning of it's history, guys. We're going step by step. We are goose stepping into every fascist system. It's just so frustrating how clear all this is. This is, as always, we can't learn from our own history, or at the very least that all of us that can are being overshadowed and shouted down and algorithmically ignored by what we pretend is the full conversation. That's really not.
The national security concerns. Altogether, the leasing plans we uncovered give a clear picture of where ICE is going next in the U.S. Everywhere.
Everywhere. Now, as Truth Stream Media points out, oh, and by the way, for those playing along at home, Pam Bondi was a lobbyist for the very private prison company that stands to rake in billions off of the new concentration camps being built all over the country. One of many conflicts of interest that she failed to disclose. But no big deal, seeing as how every one of them are somehow wildly profiting from the very things they're using to suppress your rights. That is quite literally illegal in every possible sense. These conflicts of interest, we can go back again for the 1,000th time to the ethics pledges that were not signed, that nobody cared about. It's confounding. I've been calling it out the entire time. So now I think actually for time, I'm just going to briefly point to this and we'll come back to it. I want to get to the large point of right here. Where are we? Yeah, right here, the tracking part of it. But just there's an interesting conversation to be had about the SAVE Act. Now, right now, it's only passed the House, right? It moved to the Senate, but it passed. And I think it's important to highlight this, and I am going to go into this more because I think this needs to be fleshed out, especially if and when I think it will pass the House. Here, I'll include my show about this, about the SAVE Act, Real ID, ID 2020, basically tricking people into digital IDs. And what's important is, as this highlights, and this is just the SAVE Act kind of overview, it says even licenses that meet the Real ID requirements generally do not indicate citizenship. So the one point is, we keep seeing this, don't we? Where people who are Americans, who even have the Real ID, are being taken to custody because they're being told that does not confirm their citizenship. You know why? Because it doesn't actually indicate it. Even though how insane it is that you have to go through extra stuff to be able to get that, they'll argue that doesn't prove it. So what it needs to show you is it's not even about what they claim it's about. And on top of that, when you get into the bigger picture of this, that ultimately what this seems to be doing to me, as I was saying earlier, is create a situation that's almost untenable. It's not almost impossible. Not only will it box out plenty of Americans who deserve to have the right just because they don't have all three of these things they need, which will create the call from those people to make it just the one quick, easy digital ID version. That's the whole point. Because right now, the main block, even from this article, is that not every person out here has their birth certificate or has their passport. That's included, and so the Real ID, as the document shows from the SAVE Act, becomes the one that will work. That's the one that you can use instead of the things you might not have. This feels like a problem reaction solution setup. Either way, we'll go over it again, and I'm convinced about where this is going. So let's get into the Epstein stuff to kind of finish up for the next 20 minutes here. And I want to make sure that this is just one extra clip that we're going to include from yesterday's kind of overlap. That is, it's funny, I get stuck in my head. I just am continually baffled by not only how, like I said in the beginning, the engagement with this embarrassing display, but what is your opinion? I have personally never seen this obvious of a case confronted like this. Usually there's some level of disagreement. There's some evidence. This is just profoundly obvious. And all she's doing is going, but you didn't ask Garland. And that seems to be the only thing she can say right now. But the evidence is astoundingly clear. And then we'll go into the fact that as they're gaslighting us all, they're essentially tracking what people are looking at. And I bet you that's applying to all of us as well. So here is Lou asking her another question.
The July 2025 memo from your Department of Justice stated, quote, "We did not uncover evidence that could predicate an investigation against uncharged third parties." These two photos, please put the photos back up. These two photos staring you in the face are evidence of a crime and more than enough evidence to predicate an investigation against former Prince Andrew. So I ask you, Attorney General Pam Bondi, why did you shut down this investigation last July, and why have you not prosecuted former Prince Andrew?
I don't believe you asked Merrick Garland these questions when he was Attorney General. And
I mean, I don't know why she thinks it's such a gotcha. He responds well, actually, despite my opinion. I don't feel like these people are genuine across the board. At least I think that's in our interest to feel that way and, to consider that. But this is the same response she gives to all of these questions. Even, like I said the other day, the only people that are like going, yeah, say it again, are the people that have no interest in the truth. It's really just about their team sport politics. And I'm on her side. So not answering is, sticking it in their eye. Yeah, screw you. But the truth is that that's an important question, regardless of who's asking it. Why have you not investigated these crimes? Isn't the Republican Party the one that said it was most important? Like his base, that's what they were fighting for. And what I'm trying to say is I don't think this is even working for the people that she thinks it's aimed for. I think everybody's tired of this.
I agree with you.
You twice.
I've been claiming my time. I agree with you. I agree with you. During the Biden administration, I called.
This is actually really telling. I'm going to play this one little part again, then we'll finish it. She said, "Are you not hearing me?" Because she apparently was completely not expecting him to go, "You're right, and I agree." That just shows you how binary she is. She is one of the, honestly, even over like a KJP, I don't think I've ever seen somebody so out of place in this situation, so completely out of their depth. You tell me. It's blowing me away with the way, like, she could almost not answering would have been a better strategy for her. I genuinely mean that. But so when he says, "I agree with you, this is the right way to go about this," even if you don't agree with this, if you're Ted, because I doubt he does, because they should have asked these questions, right? You damn well should have asked these at any time it's been going on. But he goes, "You're right. They all failed. We should have. Now what's your answer?" Right? And that's where she's going. Did you not hear me? Because I don't think she ever thought in a million years, because she wouldn't do that they would give him that.
Former Prince Andrew.
I don't believe you asked Merrick Garland these questions when he was Attorney General and set before.
I agree with you.
You twice.
I've been claiming my time. I agree with you. I agree with you. During the Biden administration, I called for people looking at Epstein files. Merrick Garland dropped the ball, as did Attorney General Bill Barr, as did Alex Acosta, a whole string of failures. But you are in charge. You have the power to change things, to hold these men accountable, and you're doing the opposite. You're protecting them.
Okay. So let's use this moment to make a point. Then we'll get into pretty much the last segment. So as in the chat being pointed out, and you guys, hopefully he's saying this because I always point this out, and that's what we say in this conversation, but that this, saying it's all show, right? Well, let's just even say 100% provable, even though it's debatable, right? That every part of it. I agree. My whole point is that these people are in many ways collectively criminal and aware that this is not in the interest of what they're doing. That doesn't mean every one of them is who knows, maybe some of them aren't, and maybe some of them, you see an opportunity. Maybe one of them is not innocent. I don't believe that, but who knows? My point though, is that even if it is like mapped out where they go, "I'm going to ask this and you're going to respond like this," so they think that we care. Fine. It does not change what we're doing here, right? The point is to use what's happening to reach people that need to see these things. Like, this is my whole point about opportunism. I don't believe any of these people actually want to help you or actually care about what your interests are, even though I'm well aware that it's possible that that's not the full picture, that some of them might. My point is that history shows us that we should be coming at it like, you're probably deceiving me. You're probably not in the good intention, but I'm going to hope for it and wait for the evidence, right? But if we know that, that's why I keep pointing out the idea of opportunism. If let's give the newer politicians the impression that it's in their interest to point to the truth, whether or not they care about the truth or believe in it. Because how do we ever know that for sure? So it needs to be based on merit metrics, what they're doing, not just what they say. So back to the point is, if it is all a show and they're all just doing this to keep, so what we should never do is think this is enough. Oh, they got embarrassed. Oh, they quit their job. This is what we're always saying. Absolutely not. criminal accountability. And yes, as he's pointing out, there's a lot of evidence that very much could amount to proof if this was done the right way. So we should be demanding that, even if it's a show, even if they're putting this forward. And if we all do that, then this show or not, you're giving us things to go on, whether Ted's playing a role or not. Like, I'd like to think that's very clear. So if we can all get on the same page with this and just use what's in front of us to point to the truth, no matter whoever's saying it, no matter what, it can't be this dismissal game based on what side it comes from or based on what we think they're trying to accomplish. Because even if their intent is to manipulate us, there's still value in highlighting these things if we go into it knowing that. I'd like to think that's important, right? Now, so let's get to the surveillance. This is I haven't seen this count before. It was just one that showed the picture circulating. Bondi and GOJ caught saving search history of congressmen and women when reviewing the Epstein files. Now, it was in Bondi's thing, so for all we know, she's using this to try to trap them in some kind of a gotcha moment. Really, clearly, it's not about answering questions, right? Nothing says transparency and nothing to see here, like writing, like keeping track and printing out the documents they search to keep tabs and use them against them. This just keeps getting shadier. Here is a clip, Speaker Johnson talking about this and about J. Paul. Now, she's one of the people that they were, I guess, watching, but it seems to have been like anybody engaging with the files, but it's not just the Democrat side. But I think that's very relevant.
Giant pause to the DOJ is tracking her search history. Is that appropriate conduct?
I'm not going to comment on an allegation that is unsubstantiated. I don't know anything about that.
So just it's pretty low, basically saying the allegation is that you're monitoring search history, and he goes, I don't know anything about that. I'm not commenting on it. Well, we know they do, and it's now coming out.
General Bondi testified, and she had a piece of paper that had Giant search history in her binder of the Epstein files.
I don't know anything about that, and I'm not commenting on it. I haven't seen or heard anything about that.
Thank you, sir.
That would be inappropriate if it happened.
Oh, it would be inappropriate. Well, watch as he now defends it because it comes out and it's provable. But that's him engaging with it. So here is Owen Schroyer sharing a just a post about Nancy Mace and audio. I'll just go right to what she says. But he writes, first, this is what ACYN says, Mace on Epstein files. I'm pretty tech savvy. I've played around with the system. They're tracking every file that we open. When we open it, they are tracking everything. They can see the way we are tracking if you know where to look like I do. It's like Microsoft product from 95. Windows 95? Yeah. Windows. She's tech savvy. But Owen says things are weird at the DOJ. Mace, right, who is a Republican ally, at least on surface, insinuates the DOJ is spying on committee members' activities with Epstein files. We saw AG Bondi had a search history of committee members at the hearing. I showed you the picture. We also saw Epstein had access to Israeli spyware and some leaked photos. Well, we keep talking about this. It's not some small thing. It's so weird how this is a massive deal. Paragon, right? NSO Group. This is what these are. Trump made an agreement with this company for ICE. It's happening right now in this country. This is a company that has been caught. Off the top of my head, at least 3 major times where they're being caught spying on journalists, on governments, but way more than that when you understand the breadth of this. But, WhatsApp was a recent one. There was multiple other examples. I forget what country it was that called them out for it, and it was exposed. And this is Israel doing this. And Trump makes a deal with this group. But so what we're highlighting here is first that it's happening, but the idea that this is not just some small passing point. Like, this is a massive thing that Epstein was overlapped with, that was involved with Israel, that is now immersed within this government that's currently covering up the Epstein files. So we just note that. But the point is that even she is saying they're being monitored. Here's what she wrote. Yes, I will confirm. This is yesterday. DOJ is tracking the Epstein documents members of Congress search for, open, and review. I was able to navigate the system today, and I won't disclose how or the nature of how, but confirmed the DOJ is tagging all documents members of Congress search. Well, guys, look at this. If they're tagging what members of Congress search, you can damn well bet they're tagging what you look at, which we know this by now, but that's invasive. That's not something that we should just dismiss. Based on how I confirm this, there are timestamps associated with this tracking. Now, to be clear, that's my opinion, obviously, but there'd be a much bigger deal, right? I think our government is quite literally, in a passive way, collecting every single thing they possibly can on all of us all the time. That's the reality of the surveillance network that we're in. passively meaning that there's not a man looking, but it's just a database that they can tack in. That's where you get the whole digital twin overlap. Different conversation. But to me, guys, this is wild. What you're seeing is this is the U.S. government spying on Congress and even members of the Republican Party, which again, if you want to stand back, and I agree, look at what I think is the big picture, that this is one entity, right? We're talking about the U.S. government largely working in the same unified direction when it comes to most things, but there's always nuance and there's lots of different facets. I do agree with that first statement. I think that's the reality. But within that, there are people who hate each other or have different political agendas or state to state or, whatever we're talking about. So my point in saying all of that is that even if we do want to look at it, which I agree is the case, that these people are in line with the Epstein cover up, whatever else, that there are still individuals on both sides that are being spied on by the Republican administration. I mean, to me, that can either mean that this is an entity that is, I don't know, independent of all of it in its own way, like doing it like maybe the technocratic direction, what they're trying to revamp the world into, or it's something like Israel, literally holding the reins and dictating who's getting. They're just basically using the U.S. government as some kind of middleman spy apparatus. I mean, I think the evidence speaks for itself, but I'll end with a couple of points here that I think are important in regard to, I forgot about that. I had some Israel points too. We'll do this quickly. So this is just the point about Bondi. This is what Senator Banks pointed out. This is today. I mean, doesn't this just, I mean, I want to do this real quickly, actually, since it's funny to me, but this is, you are the living embodiment of this meme. This is, for those that haven't seen the podcast, I'm using the "this is fine" meme, and it's just what he's doing. He says, Pam Bondi was very strong yesterday and is doing a good job. I mean, what's the point of even writing that? You know why? Because they know that nobody thinks that. The reason you write that is because you're going, this is the truth. You're trying to guide people's, the feeble-minded out there. Here's what you're supposed to be saying. It's just nobody, I mean, not even Republicans, large people, like major MAGA Republicans were going, God, that was embarrassing. Just find it funny. So Trump comes out and says, AG Pam Bondi under intense fire from Trump derangement, radical left lunatics. Just add another adjective to that. It's just getting so ridiculous. Was fantastic at yesterday's hearing. Oh, well, was she? I mean, guys, nobody really thinks that. This is why this gets so dishonest and embarrassing. And whether you're left or right, it was objectively bad. She didn't answer. She just deflected away and didn't even do it in a tactful way. And it says, where one thing has been proven conclusively, much to their chagrin, that Trump has been 100% exonerated. What are you talking about? Like, this is just so embarrassing. But he goes up there, Russia type charges, meaning he's comparing the Epstein files to the Russia hoax. Actually, it was the slimeball Democrats, all of them apparently in unison, even though he works with plenty of them and often says they're on the same side. Oh, well, I just did this yesterday. What was his name? The New York... why am I forgetting his name? Mamdani. Oh, he's a great guy. We're working well together. Oh, Bill Clinton, he's a good friend. We know each other. I feel bad for him. Yeah, but all of them are disgusting, evil, deep straight pedophile. You can't keep doing that. And then all it shows you is you have no respect for anybody. None of your own followers, nobody, because you just lie blatantly to their faces. And then 2 days later, a second later, just go now the other way. And they're just supposed to follow suit. That's embarrassing. And he goes, have they been proven guilty? Republican loser, sanctimonious rhino congressman Thomas Massey. God, you'd think he would learn by now that that's not working for him. Made a total fool of himself yesterday. Oh, he did he? By proving that you're covering up obvious criminal activity? I mean, point out one thing he said that was not exactly accurate. That's not to say that I blindly trust Massey. Of course I don't. But it's just crazy how people go along with this. This is desperate narrative control. And, do I even need to read more? It's all the same kind of stuff. What I think is most important for time is what he says in another version. Was it? Oh, wait, I think this is the one. Oh, no, it's this one right here. So, of course, Nick Sorter, just, I cheer for whatever Trump said.com should be called his website. It says Trump shreds those who are continuing to push for the release of the files. What? I mean, you'd think this person has no shame. Shreds those who continue to push for what you guys told us was absolutely monumentally important. I mean, no shame. And he goes, my past supporters, in all capitals, that's what Trump said, have bought into this BS. He's doing this again after everything that's come out, that if you believe this is important, you no longer support Trump. Well, welcome to the team, because if you recognize what this shows you, you shouldn't support left or right. Let these weaklings continue forward and do the Democrats' work. Wow, 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 wow. Lastly, yesterday, of course, Netanyahu arrived in his colony known as the U.S. government. Today, the United States is preparing for war against Iran. Blackmail doesn't get more obvious than that. And now they're sending more aircraft carrier or carrier groups because Netanyahu just came. That's seriously, it's insane. Trump's approval rating, by the way, is higher in Israel than it is in the United States. But nothing to see there, folks. Doesn't speak for itself. And I think I'll leave it there in general just for time. But, really overall, here's Bannon trying to act like Netanyahu coming in through the side door of the White House speaks to how he's embarrassed. But I mean, come on. Like, this is literally like saying, like, Netanyahu's got his own key to the White House. That's how much you can prove that no one likes him. It's wait. So Netanyahu shows up and he's able to basically walk in the back door of the White House. And that's him being not having special access. I mean, people are losing it. I mean, we've already heard from many people, Wilkerson and plenty of others, that basically Netanyahu or whoever the Israeli president or prime minister was at the time, they basically run the Pentagon. They can walk in the Oval Office. I mean, they've made these comments, and here we are showing it again. We'll go into more of this in the future, next show. But lastly, here's Trump threatening Iran again after Netanyahu told him what to do, basically saying they should have made a deal the first time. Well, how do we need to do this every time? You mean the deal that you pulled out of, which gave them the legal right to do what they did, and then you act like they broke something, and now you're claiming they shouldn't have left? I mean, it's just a childish example. I bet you Trump doesn't even know that he's wrong. That's how embarrassing all this is. Oh, and by the way, like we thought, Venezuela seems to very much be just bowing to U.S. interests. And now Trump's like, Delcy Rodriguez is the best. And it just shows you, first, as Glenn points out, that U.S. foreign policy is not about liberating anybody. It's just a pretext. We should know this by now. But as I said, short today, guys. I got to get ready for the next going on with Ben. So appreciate y'all being here. And I'll most likely see you tomorrow. That is the plan. And please support the, article work we just put out. Get that out there. Share it. Talk about it. Make clips of the shows. Tag me in it. Continue to support The Last American Vagabond and any independent media out there that you think is objective and nonpartisan, doing what they believe is right. So thank you for being here. I love you all. As always, question everything. Come to your own conclusions. Sorry, I lost my button there. Stay vigilant.